Good night. Good night. How is everyone doing? I give you a few minutes to join in. I know it's late tonight. I don't know how long I'll be able to be here. I hear my baby moving around, but we're going to do what we can here. I came in for a Q&A. I wanted to give you all a chance to ask some questions live and for me to answer live. And I actually already have a question here also that I'm going to answer in addition to any questions you might come in with later. The question I received, it says, because narcissism is a mental disorder, shouldn't we have empathy for them and try to help them? Now, that's a pretty normal question. It's a noble question also, right? Because we're hearing all this talk about narcissism and how awful they are, but it is something that it is a mental disorder that is in a personality disorder that's in the DSM, right? That is the manual for mental health professionals that we use to diagnose people, right? So if it's something that's diagnosable, then yeah, maybe we should have a little empathy because something's wrong with them. They have a illness, a sickness. So I do understand that question. However, I like to use common sense and practicality about anything in life, right? I think that has gotten me through a lot. When we don't just follow things because of how it sounds or what society says it should be, but more so of does it make sense, right? And that's not to be, condescending or anything, but it's just something that we have to keep in mind. Like, yes, something might look good or might sound good to do this or to say this, but does it make sense, right? So let's just look at the word empathy for a moment, because that was a good question. Shouldn't we have empathy for them, right? Someone who is sick, someone who is diagnosed with something, shouldn't we have empathy for them? But let's look at the definition. For those of you who know me, you know I love definitions. Let's look at the definition of empathy, right? So it's the ability to understand and to share the feelings of another, right? So for us, in order for us to have empathy for someone who has narcissistic traits, right? That means we have to be able to understand and to share the feelings, right, for them. You can't. You can't share the feelings for them, right? You can't imagine what it's like to hurt other people. You can't imagine what it's like to exploit other people, to play games with other people's emotional and mental health, right? That's not something you can understand. Maybe what you can understand, if you want to go that deep, which is sometimes okay and sometimes really not necessary, what you can try to have empathy for is why they develop this personality disorder, right? There's no 100% sure way that's listed in any literature as to why someone may develop this personality disorder, but most studies point towards your childhood, right? Our personalities is part what we're born with and part what we are exposed to and our experiences in our childhood, right? So there's something that happened, and sometimes it's not always something necessarily bad, but more so the way your parents raised you or experiences that you've had that you've developed this type of personality. So that is something, if we want to look for something to have empathy for, we can have empathy for them because of, unfortunately, they've had some unfortunate experiences in their childhood that have made them develop this type of personality, right? But again, that's going a little bit deeper than you need to, right? And it doesn't make you a bad person that you can't have empathy for everybody. That's actually a little unrealistic. And I think that's some of that noble religious, I think, based on religion sometimes. And I'm a spiritual woman, I'm a Christian, but I do believe sometimes religion can make us think that we're supposed to have empathy for everybody and reach out to everybody and support everybody. No, some people you can't and you shouldn't. You need to just stay away, right? So having empathy for them, which is a valid question, you can't. Even if you wanted to, you cannot know what it feels like to want to hurt other people, right? Because that's who they are. Those are the traits. The other point I want to ask you is when you said, should you try to help them, right? So shouldn't we have empathy and shouldn't we try to help? Can you afford to help them? And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the energy that it would take to invest. Because when you try to help someone, right, emotionally, You have to put out energy. You need to take time with them. You need to support them. You need to have conversations with them. You need to be able to help them to reflect and to help them to find solutions to their problem, right? But the question is, can you afford to help them? And then the other question is, how much will it cost you? That probably should be the first question. How much will it cost you to help them? And can you afford that? What will it cost you to try to help someone with narcissistic traits? It will cost you a lot of time and energy because you will be trying to explain to them, one, what narcissism is. And what that can look like is they might turn it around and say, no, you're the narcissist. Now you're all confused in your head with, wait, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the issue. Maybe I am a narcissist, right? So now you're exposing yourself to more manipulation and more gaslighting, which is a form of manipulation, right? Causing you to feel confused, right? Because now you're trying to educate them on what narcissism is, and now they've turned it back around on you. You're trying to have conversations with them to get them to reflect on their behavior. But really what they're going to do with that is either pretend like they understand, but then turn around and do the same thing again, or go into just debates with you, debate after debate after debate after debate, and not really ever come to a solution. Because the reality is they don't want solutions. They don't want solutions. They don't want peace. They don't want solutions. Now, what they do love is the attention that you're giving them. So they may play along because now they're getting your attention. So they may play along with this just for the attention, right? So that's what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a lot of energy, a lot of frustration, a lot of your breath, right? For them to just play games with it. Why are they going to play games with it? Why is it going to cost you so much? Because they don't want your help. That's the next point. Ask yourself, do they even want my help? We have to be careful offering our help and support to people who don't want it. They don't want it. They are completely comfortable with where they are. They may pretend and say, yeah, I want to do better. I want to have better relationships. They don't want your help. They don't want to change. They are completely okay with who they are. Okay. Again, they may entertain it as if, yeah, I've had an epiphany. I should have been better. Or if you come to them with religion or, spirituality, yes, I'm finding God again. They'll come to you with anything. They will give you anything to keep the game going. And here you are pouring out your soul, trying your best, right? Thinking something's changing in them. It's all a game. It's all a game. Listen, the bottom line here is self-preservation. Self-preservation should be your priority. Okay, what do I mean by that? You need to preserve your mental health. You need to preserve your energy. And what does that look like? Being selective with who you pour into. Don't just be pouring out into everybody. That's not noble. It's not wise. Okay, that doesn't make you a good person. It makes you an unwise person, if that's a word. Okay? It's not noble. It's not wise. It's foolish. We are not supposed to pour into everyone. We need to be selective about who we pour into. And yes, there may be some cases in our lifetime for young people, for example, where they resist us, right? They don't want the help, but we still try. That's different. But there are people, especially grown people, okay? You can tell when someone wants help and when someone doesn't. You can tell when someone is playing games with you and when they are serious because you see them making progress. And not just progress to give you little breadcrumbs to make you feel happy, like, oh, they're changing. They see the light finally. Those are games. Okay? So you also want to pray. Let's bring it back to God here. You also want to pray for discernment. You want to pray to be able to see when someone is genuine and when they're playing games. Now, let me tell you this. Sometimes we pray for things, but we don't accept it. We don't accept it because we want to be stubborn. We want to be stubborn. And I can say that to you because I was there too. We want to be stubborn because we don't want to accept people for who they are. We want to believe that it must be someday they're going to change. Must be someday they're going to see what I'm saying. Even if it takes 5 years, even if it takes 10 years, they're going to get it eventually. We want to be stubborn with that. So when God does bless us with discernment, we can't even use it because we're stuck on how we want things to go. Sometimes there's people that are not ever going to get it because they don't want to get it. And that is a common trait of someone who is narcissistic or have narcissistic traits. They don't want to get it. Okay? So to answer the question, because it's a mental disorder, shouldn't we have empathy for them or try to help them? The overall answer to that is you can't afford to. Focus on yourself. Focus on preserving yourself. The most you can do is protect yourself, protect your family from them, and pray for them. There's never any wrongdoing in praying, right? Pray for them and pray to keep them away from you. All right. If there's no questions here, I just wanted to check in. And if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I'll be back again live next week. I know some of you have emailed me. Most of you email me. So if you do have any questions, you can continue to email me. But I want you to know that I'll be on here live as well periodically. So I'm more than glad also to talk to you live. All right. Y'all have a great night.